was shaven before you were born. Which was before I was conceived.
That's weird.
CommanderSmiths, fuck yeah. Come to spoil some motherfucking cards, yeah.
Oh, how short that was. It's the South Park American. What is it called? Team America.
Yeah. There we go.
America. Fuck, nice. I like that. No, you did not repeat it.
Done that
no,
one?
no, he was very worried before.
I have thought about this one for a long time then.
He was like, oh man, I think I did this one. I'm like, I hope you did, because I am going to rip you so bad if you freaking did.
I need to get this in my notes, cross it out, and just say I got it done.
Nice. Oh, that was a good one though. But welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I am Lowry Smith. And don't worry. We're cousins.
Oh, we didn't do it on...
Nah, well, I didn't want to do it together. Like,
don't worry, we're cousins. So that's actually kind of a shout out to... do we tell that now then?
Yeah. Do it, yeah.
So just a kind of little background of that. That goes out to... What do we say his name? Jacob...
Basecki.
Basecki? But there's an I there. Anyways.
Sorry, man.
we killed your name. Sorry. Don't unfollow us and stuff. But so actually what happened was I listened to a bunch of different podcasts, both Larry and I do.
No, I don't.
Okay. I was trying to make it seem like you did.
This isn't my deal.
So I was listening to the Command Zone, which they do a great podcast. And last week they did a bit with, shows they're thankful for, like not big shows or whatever, up and coming shows. Sorry to say we were not mentioned on one of there. I was like, oh please.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. But one of our other podcasts that I like to listen to is mentioned on there, the Commander Cookout, which I like those guys. But anyways, long story longer. At the end of their episode, they said, hey, if we didn't mention one of your favorite shows, put it in the comments below. And I was like, oh, maybe we'll get a little shout out there. And so I'm scrolling through comments. This is a freaking stupid. I'm scrolling through 600 plus comments of just trying
at that point.
And as I'm going through,
there could be more at
now.
Yeah.
But I'm going through and I'm getting like more and more sad. I'm like, oh man, no one likes us. And then all of a sudden I came across Jacob's comment. He's like, CommanderSmiths, don't worry, they're cousins. And I was like, that's awesome. That was I took a screenshot of it and sent it to Lyle. I was like, look at that.
That's probably going to end up being our tagline. So thank you for your for giving us something
to that. Yeah, no, because he took what we said 2 weeks ago about the don't worry, we're cousins, or we were trying to figure out if we're going to do don't worry, we're cousins, or it's okay, we're cousin, or I'm with cousin. Yeah. These T-shirts are going to be made now because of that.
Probably.
Thank you, Jacob. So, but yeah, this is episode number 41, right?
Jeez, we didn't discuss this beforehand.
Yeah, 41.
I think so, yeah.
41. We did 40 last week. Kind of crazy, but follow us on Twitter, of course. You can at CommanderSmiths.
Gmail us at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com.
And then you can subscribe to us if you go to YouTube. We keep getting subscribers each week.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
And I know I've said it before.
You can always see it in the show notes underneath as well.
I know I've said it before, but I'm actually working on the video to do the proxy card stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually wrote my script for it, like how I want to go with it. So
interesting.
I'm getting closer. So that's going to be a new video, but we will have another video that's coming soon with the Ultimate Masters boxes. Yep. So that will be coming probably before mine, but we'll see. But today, we got 4 segments. What do we got today?
So we're going to talk about everything's been released for Ultimate Masters, and so we will talk about cards that we think are good for Commander. That are being released. Prices are going to be down.
Time to pick them up. Yep. Segment 2 is going to be just random magical shit. We've done that segment before, but there's a bunch of little topics we want to talk about, and
musings.
We just kind of bunched it into one little segment, and we're just going to kind of go shoot through those. And then what do we do for segment 3?
Segment 3, we were wrong. So
that's all you know.
About that.
Yeah, you don't know anything else.
We got corrected on YouTube. And,
no, you're not
checked it out. Oh no, well that person knows. They get to be excited all through this.
I was just gonna say they should just be excited once we get to that segment. We were wrong. Wah, wah. We'll have like some sad music that comes in before.
Sad trombone.
Yeah. And then we finish off with our normal Smith specs of the week.
Yeah.
So
exciting! I'm so excited for this episode.
Are you?
Was that pretty fake?
Sorry. That was really.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why don't we start off?
Yeah.
I thought you were really excited for Ultimate Masters, is why you were saying that.
There's some truth there.
So why don't we start off Ultimate Masters? I know we talked about it at length here, but now it's fully been spoiled. And overall, disappointed, happy,
me in general.
Yeah.
This is the best product they've ever put together.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking
Not
crazy.
Question marked.
We were talking last week before they even started spoiling the rares and uncommons and stuff. Is like, this still had value if the rares were crap, and the rares aren't crap, and the uncommons aren't crap. There's a ton of uncommons that were rares that got downgraded, and they're freaking. It's amazing. The value of this set is pretty ridiculous.
And so, the value is really good. It is a very expensive set to get into. And just starting off, I think I talked about this back during Masters 25. My strong suggestion is don't go out and buy 2, 3, 4, 5 packs because you're going to get fucked.
Yeah, don't.
So
if you're going to go and spend the money, are you saying basically go for the box? Yes.
Or buy singles.
Yeah. Don't go for the Target or Walmart box. You want to get the box topper because that's really where you're going to get your value out of this. If you're willing to part ways with it, you're going to make your money back, if not more, with this.
And even that's just with my past experience with Master sets, and this is a lot less likely to fuck you.
Yeah.
And for me,
I
would still get fucked. So that is my total
Lowry just gets fucked all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's equal value. We'll wait until things drop. So
that's what we were talking about.
Either way. What do you...
I just said you got fucked all the time, so lucky.
No. Nobody would believe that. What a lie.
You're a liar.
Yeah. That's what I'm... All the comments, Lowry's a liar.
But yeah, so... If you have the money to drop on this, I know the prices jumped up because eBay put out that 15% sale, and since then they're $20 more expensive than when we bought our boxes, and they haven't dropped back down. So I think also the sellers are looking at, well, Cyber Monday's coming. We're going to keep our prices this high because there'll be another probably eBay coupon that comes out. Mm-hmm. Even still, that's cheaper than the MSRP, whatever. You can get them at Card Kingdom.
And they're also looking at the value.
Right.
And, I mean, there's a tipping point of, do you continue to sell these or do you crack packs and just sell the singles? Mm-hmm. Or not pack, but crack the boxes. And so the sellers are going to try and make as much money as they can.
And one other side note, I know other casts have talked about this, other people, and we have talked about this with Masters sets are very different than your normal set, whereas your value for the really prime cards for like a standard set is high at the beginning when a deck is good, like right when it comes out and people are using it, and then once it rotates the card drops, and then typically that's when you go and buy it for a commander. These everything's going to be low, and then 6 months out, whatever, the prices come back. So
start coming up.
Things that you want from this, or if you decide to buy a box and you actually want to sell some of this stuff, like part of what I'm doing is I bought a few of these boxes.
A few.
We'll find out more when we are doing the box opening, but I bought a few of these boxes and I'm not going to sell them right away. I got to hold on to them for 6 months because what's going to happen is everybody's going to release it. I might try to dump some right away because we're going to open the night of or the next night that it comes out. So I might try to get in that first wave. That first wave is going to sell because people want those cards. Immediately after that, within days, that's going to drop because everybody's going to try to get
the supply is going to start being met for a period of time.
So at that point, after about a week, 2 weeks of it being out, is the time if you want to buy the singles is when you should go start buying the singles. Mm-hmm. And then the prices will come back up. So Snapcaster will come back up. Snapcaster is going to be as low as it's been for a long time. But we've mentioned this before in our other podcasts. Larry has mentioned that he does a good job with the time frame of when he likes to jump in on stuff. Yep, I think it's a very good time frame. And so just remember that with the master sets, these aren't ones that they're selling high first. They're selling low, and then you're gonna they're going to start creeping up. So, so should we actually jump in and start talking about some of these cards?
One other thing about this discussion here is, since last week we went over the box toppers, we're going to try and skip those this week, even though we're going to go into probably more detail here. All of those cards are pretty fantastic, so check them out. We'll post just a list, the whole list underneath in the show notes here. So
correct. So should we start off right away with our first one?
The rare
Containment Priest. Now, wasn't this just a commander printing?
Correct.
So this is the first time it'll be in foil. So check, these foils will be very, very expensive.
Agreed.
With Containment Priest, if you don't know.
One-word answers.
Thanks for your contribution, Lowry. I'm seeing that beer over there, and I kind of want to have a taste. You're not so much of a dick anymore, so I just want to drink beer.
No, what it is you're getting used to me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to crack this anyway.
Yeah, go for it.
Might as well just start. We have not said Containment Priest. Avoid that. So this one is from Hammerheart Brewing Company. It's a Wettin Wanderer. It is a Bamberg style smoked lager. And so Bamberg is actually a city in Germany where I went and had my smoked beers.
Did you bring it back from Germany?
Not this one, no. No? I just found it in a liquor store. I was like, ooh, he might like this.
Sweet.
But actually, you're not.
Oh, you're giving me that one?
Yeah.
Well, he's pouring his, but Containment Priest, really quick. 1 colorless, 1 white, has flash as a 2/2. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. So this kills counter token decks pretty well. So that's the gist of it. Anyway,
and also reanimate decks.
Right.
And blinking. Boop.
Cheers. The smell.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That does taste. That has a lot of taste to it.
Yeah. So that's a smoked lager right there.
Like you could smell the smoke when you went to go drink it. That's pretty crazy. I like it.
Yeah, that's actually
not used to having beer that has that aroma to it.
They found this technique actually, like the Sumerians did it like thousands of years ago, and so it's a really unique style compared to what you find today.
Yeah, because wasn't it like you do whiskeys and scotch and stuff will do the burnt.
Yeah, the inside of the barrels are burnt,
so then it has a little taste to it. But I've never had that with a beer.
And this comes with like smoking the grains when you're doing the germination project or process, and so it just is in there.
Nice.
So it's
good
really
find,
cool.
Lowry.
Yeah. Glad you like it.
All right, so we keep moving.
I want to drink. So next one, getting a really solid reprint, Daybreak Coronet. It's an aura that needs another aura already attached to that creature. And so this goes in Voltron-style enchantment decks like Bruna, Zur the Enchanter, or Ural the Miststalker are the big ones.
That's why when we were first discussing this card and you were like, it's specific for those kind of decks, I was like, well, dude, it could freaking go in any white deck, but if it needs another aura on it, that's why I was like, God, this is
makes
really
it ridiculous.
Like, think of this if you didn't need an aura for a 2-drop that gave that. That's why I was like, this card's amazing. But they getting the aura on there and then adding this on it is pretty bonkers.
It's also in Modern Boggles. So this is a really solid card. It's a great reprint. So if you want those style of decks, go for it.
Do we want to bring up Rhea? Well, Rhea Dawnbringer is another reprint. Of course, they're all reprints. I'm not going to say that. Yeah. I'm not going to say that after.
It's another reprint. 20 times today.
This is a brand new card. But she's pretty decent. It's a lot to bring out her, but when you get her out, she's pretty ridiculous.
4/6 flying at the beginning of your upkeep. Bring a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield.
And that's pretty awesome.
Back at 10th edition, I bought that card for $10. And it is currently
95 cents.
Yeah.
She costs 9 to get out, but she is a legendary creature, so she could be your general, which is pretty sweet. We're going to skip that card because it's more of a modern staple.
Wall of Reverence is one of the better walls out there, and this is going to go in your
Arcades deck
that we kind of talked about. So it's a needed reprint. The foils are going to, be pretty good.
Which, when I mentioned this months and months ago to pick up the foils of these because there was only one foil printing, well, now you have 2. So I hope you sold all yours. Mine were gone. Mine were gone within that month, but hope you weren't holding on to a bunch of them because now these are going to drop. But it's still a pretty damn good card. Doesn't need to be in an Arcades deck because it's still gaining life from the power, and so it actually doesn't really work as well for Arcades because you're walls typically have 1 to 0 power, but you're still gaining life and it has flying and all that fun stuff. So the next one, which is freaking awesome, I didn't actually know it existed,
and
to be honest.
Back to basics,
yeah,
which is the blue blood moon, essentially.
2 colors, some blue, and like you said, blue blood moon. So it makes your non-basic lands, they can't untap that are in play.
I traded mine when it was $8, and it was up to about $100 before this reprint. That's what happens when you've been in Magic for so long. So it happens. Dig Through Time is
Dig Through Time is a good one.
A reprint here. It has Delve, and then you get to look at the top 7 cards and put 2 of them into your hand. It's a great card, banned in everything but Commander and restricted in Vintage.
Next one is Glenn
Alondra.
Is that how you say it? I would say Alendra. I would think.
Well,
Alendra
right.
Archmage, and that's 3. It's a fairy. It's a fairy wizard. 3 colors and a blue, 2/2 flying. But the nice thing about this one is you tap blue, sacrifice it, counter target non-creature spell, and has persist. So you're at least being able to do it twice. To counter something, and it's only 1. You don't have to tap it, so you can have this. You can already attack with it. You can do it the turn it comes out. So it's a pretty damn good card for Commander. But countering shit sucks.
I should probably bring up Megas of the Bazaar is seeing a reprint.
Yeah,
so
and Larry just spec'd on that.
If you listened to that on Specking 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. Seeing the reprint basically bottoms it out forever. The foils might be worth something eventually, but the non-foils are nothing at this point. They are.
Do you want to do an actual spoiler card? Do you want to talk about one? Which one? Was there any in black that we would notable, really? Not really.
That's
for
not
rare.
a box topper.
Yeah. We get into red. Why don't you do that one?
I enjoy Gamble. This is 1 red sorcery. You get to search for your through your library and put any card into your hand, and then you randomly discard from your hand. I like that in like a Reanimator style deck. So like you have a good chance of putting, or like let's say you go find Unburial Rites. And if it still ends up in your hand, you get to reanimate 2 cards. If you end up discarding it, you still get to reanimate 1. You can find some, or if you're just trying to get big fatties into your graveyard, there's a good chance on that. So there's some really cool things there.
We want to skip these guys, right? Squee, do we want to talk about, or are you thinking
I like Seize the Day?
Yeah, Seize the Day, I use that, and if you listen to the Commander Spotlight of Zender Split, the coin flipping one, giving you the additional attack phase is pretty decent, but it's only 1 creature gets an additional attack phase. I mean, you untap 1 creature and then you get an additional attack phase. So if you have other untapped stuff, then you can attack with
like
those
Vigilance
as well.
or...
But it also has flashback. So if you have enough mana tapped up, you can get 2 additional attack phases for that creature. So
it goes really good in Voltron style decks like Ural the Miststalker, being able to just swing it a bunch of times, or something with Vigilance, like you're saying.
And like I said, the Zender Split thing doesn't matter if you're untapping that 1. You get an additional attack phase, so you're still flipping coins. Yeah. So it's a pretty decent card. Do we want to talk about Squee? We kind of skipping Squee. It's more, Squee. Yeah. All right, so then a really nice reprint. Stop saying reprint. God damn it.
I mean,
Fauna
you're not lying.
Fauna Shaman. This is really good for Commander. 1 green. You can tap a green, discard a creature card, and you can search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand. So it's a very good tutor to get the creature that you want by getting rid of something you don't want at that time.
And so if you're drawing like your ramp elves at the end of the game, you get rid of it and go get a creature that you need.
You could go get your game winner by getting
Thragtusk. Think big, Larry.
Yeah, you can go get your Llanowar elves. Watch out.
Well. That's even lower. Craterhoof Behemoth.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. All right, we're skipping those, but we do want to talk about this one, right?
Correct.
All right, go ahead, Larry.
Pattern of Rebirth is an aura.
Love this card.
You put it on any creature, and when that creature dies, so goes to your graveyard, you get to search your library and put any creature into play.
It's pretty ridiculous because, one, you're mainly putting in a deck where you're sacrificing stuff, but you can put it in stuff and make it so that people aren't like, oh, I don't want to kill that really good creature, because then you can go and find something that's even better.
Well, the other thing that you can actually do is put it on an opponent's creature and then kill
theirs,
or something that's super easy, or something that they There's some ways around this thing.
And really cool art, new art with this. I liked the old one. Old one had like a turtle sticking its head underwater or something like that. This has like a big lizard, so that turtle grew up and became a real boy. But I like this art. A lot of this, if we didn't mention before, I think some of the stuff we already mentioned had new art with it, and so some of that's pretty sweet to look at. But I definitely like this one.
Mm-hmm. I actually, Woodfall Primus is seen. I'm very happy this is seen in a reprint. It's
it was up around
trample
$10 at one, before, right?
Yeah.
Before this. Yeah.
And then when it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent. So it goes after lands, enchantments, artifacts. It's pretty awesome. And that persist gets it to come back.
Yeah.
So it's pretty resilient.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then your artifact decks or your Eldrazi decks, All Is Dust has reprinted. It's a 7-drop. Each player sacrifices all colored permanents they control. So this is awesome to get around indestructible, shroud, everything.
If you hate those indestructible slivers that you can't target, you want to pack All Is Dust.
Yeah, and
it doesn't matter even if you're like in a colored deck, like something you just. I hate you. I'm going to do this.
Except I don't know if I play it. I'd have to be more heavy on the artifacts or Eldrazi before if I put this in the deck. I do have it in. I believe it's my equipment deck, but even that, I don't know if I do have it in there or not. I think I have it in one deck.
I don't. Bray has too many colors.
No, never mind. Go ahead. But next one.
Eldrazi Conscription, which is an aura for 8 mana.
Colorless.
So you don't have to sacrifice it to All Is Dust. But you also, the creature gets +10/+10, trample, and Annihilator too, which is that player that you're attacking has to sacrifice 2 permanents.
Yeah, so it's the old school Eldrazi, what happens. And I kind of just want to jump in and say they also reprinted Sovereigns of Lost Alara, which is to go hand in hand with this. It's 4 white, blue. It's a 4/5 exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, so you have to have one creature attack, you get to go search for any aura and put it on that creature.
So you go and get Eldrazi Conscription, and you turn your Birds of Paradise into a 10/11 trampler. That is what happens.
But it would not get the Annihilator because it had already attacked. Yep. So that's the only downfall, but you're still getting 10/10.
Definitely a downfall, though.
All right, why don't you talk about this one?
Phyrexian Altar, which is an artifact for 3 colorless mana. You get to sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color. This is essentially it's great sacrifice value. Like if you're a token deck and you want to get to like a chroma really fast, or not a chroma. Who the fuck plays a chroma anymore? What's the indestructible gal? Why am I blanking on her name?
The indestructible gal. With how many? What colors?
She's white.
The indestructible.
3 white, 5 colors.
Oh yeah, you're talking about. You can't lose the game.
No.
No, that's not white. That's the
legend.
Artifact.
You know what I'm talking about. You
Elish
listening?
Norn?
No. Who the fuck cares? So this is a combo card though for general. It's gonna sit around $20. It's not a chroma. It's.
I'm just trying to think of who.
It's the one that makes everything indestructible. From Innistrad block.
Why?
Avacyn.
Avacyn. I
was like, it's from Avacyn's Restored. Why can't we think of it? God.
Is it Avacyn Angel of Hope?
Sure.
Is that the right one?
I don't care. I don't care anymore. I got Avacyn. But Phyrexian Altar, it's a really good card. For
and it's over $20 with after the reprint, whatever. This is.
It'll probably drop a little bit because it is pretty.
Well, it was before. It was over. It was over 30 before the reprint. So. And that has new art. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of these that have new art. The next one is actually one that Laria talked about last week on the lands, Desolate Lighthouse, which is the one where it gives you a colorless land, or you can tap a blue, red, and colorless, draw a card, and then discard a card.
It is kind of random in here because it
doesn't have its other counterparts, all the other ones.
Like it's just kind of like,
here you go.
Here's another land that we want to put in here.
Well, that's kind of random with this one, too. It doesn't fit with the...
And then you have Flagstones of Trocare.
Right.
It adds 1 white, and then if it goes into your graveyard, you get to search for a plains and put it into play tapped. And so that's any plains again.
Right. So more of if you're playing a sacrifice deck, I guess, would be more of why you would use that one.
Yeah. Or, just you're destroying lands and you can sacrifice that.
Next one is, and we kind of talked about it, like Larry's like, oh, we should have actually had this in our lands, but Thespian's Stage, which is tap to give you 1 colorless, or you can tap 2 and it becomes a copy of target land, except it has this ability. So Gaea's Cradle.
No, because that's legendary.
Oh yeah. No, if somebody else has it, you can copy
so
mine.
I should be playing Thespian Stage and stealing that. Actually, a huge thing about this though is Dark Depths.
Yeah, because then it doesn't have the counters
it doesn't have
on
the counters. It sacrifices automatically. You got a 20/20 indestructible in this set as well.
Mm-hmm.
As a box topper, so we are not talking about it.
And that's it for the rares that weren't box toppers.
No,
so now we kind of move into the uncommons. There's quite a bit of those too. So where do we want to start with those guys? Scroll down.
There's not as many.
Yeah, not quite as many.
Laboratory Maniac. This was like
Maniac. I shouldn't make fun of you on your pronouncing because mine sucks. But
no, that's just you. You just wait.
God, you're such a dick, Adam. Here's a beer, Lowry.
No, you need to start bringing a beer because you're a dickhead.
I got upstairs.
Northeast doesn't count.
You want a White Claw? Just kidding.
That's not beer. Lab Maniac, essentially, if you draw your last card in your library and then you draw no card, you win the game if this is in play.
Yeah.
So it's an alternate win card. It's pretty sweet.
I'm going to just say one because it's from our childhood, but Mahamoti Jin. I liked Mahamoti Jin. But it's not a really good card, but it's a 5/6 flying dude.
Is that a reprint?
The funny thing is, it's like my instant reaction was like, yeah, oh, shut up, Larry. What was the next one? None of these there. Right here.
Those two. Buried Alive, which is sorcery. You get to go search for any 3 creatures and put them into your graveyard. It's a solid card for Reanimator.
Chainer's Edict. A dick.
Chainer is a dick.
Eat a dick. It's 1 colorless, 1 black, and it is a sorcery. Target player sacrifice a creature, but it has flashback for a shit ton.
For 7. But being able to get that value late game can really help you out.
Yeah, that helps in
It's
Commander.
more value comes in like Pauper, but it still is a solid 2 for 1.
We got this guy.
Golgari Thug. If you're in a dredge deck of any sort, this is something that you want. It's a 1/1 and a dredge 4. That's all that really matters.
Then we got Shiri Shizo's Caretaker. I just made that up and maybe not said it right, but it's 4 and black, and it's a 2/2. Whenever a creature, I've used this in a deck before, a commander deck.
60 card. This was a.
I think it was on a commander deck.
It could be commander.
Or it might have been 60, maybe. But whenever a creature with power 1 or less is put in the graveyard from the battlefield, you may return it. That card at the beginning of your next end step, right? End step. As long as he's still on the battlefield. So as long as you're playing with a bunch of creatures that don't have power bigger than 1, you can sacrifice them, kill them, whatever, and they keep coming back with them. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Then we got...
I love Shriekmaw. It's 3/2 Fear. When it comes into play, destroy target non-black creature. Has Evoke for a black and a colorless.
Always a good card.
5. It's pretty awesome.
And then you got Anger, which kind of sucks because they used to only have 1 foil, and now they have 2, and I have bought 3 of them, planning to sell them, and now they have another foil. But
this is different art.
Yeah,
it's much more desirable art than the baby.
A crying baby with lava coming out of its head or whatever the hell it is.
This is way cooler.
But it has haste. That's
so
all.
You're in luck.
But then when it's in your graveyard and you have a mountain, all your creatures gain haste.
It's a sweet card.
Yeah, it is pretty damn sweet.
Young Pyromancer. It's a 2/1. Whenever you cast a spell, create a 1/1 red elemental creature. If you're in tokens, if you're in spell based, it kind of gives you a little bit of some ground blockers,
some meat blockers there.
Yeah.
Then we got Brawn is the other counterpart of your Anger, so this is the Trample, same thing. It's green if it's in your graveyard.
I'm so brawny, I'm angry.
Nice
like
Hulk. Yeah, but if he's in your graveyard, you have a forest, it gets Trample, all your creatures get Trample. I think that's it for these guys. Right there.
Angel of Despair was downshifted. This is a pretty good rare in general, but it's 3 colorless, 2 white, 2 black. It's a 5/5 flyer, and when it comes into play, destroy target permanent. And that's pretty good in general. Like if it's great in Kalia decks where you're just cheating into play and you just get ahead right there.
And for you counter fuckers out there, Counter Squall got reprinted, so we're just going to move on from that. Fucking counter spells. The next one is Vengeful Rebirth, which had some pretty sweet art. A lot of people are actually talking about this card with the art. It is pretty badass.
It's gorgeous.
4 red and green, and it's return target card from your graveyard to your hand. It's also a sorcery. I don't know if I said that. If you return a non-land card to your hand this way, it deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to any target. Then you have to exile this.
And actually, I put this in like Riku of Two Flames, and then you get to like double.
Oh
dip
yeah,
right there
nice.
too.
So you're getting 2 things and doing 2 things damage.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that's
Mistveil Plains.
Oh, yep,
is a great reprint.
Right.
Comes in a play tapped. It can get you a white, and then you can pay a white and tap it and put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library if you have 2 white permanents.
And it is a plains, so
you
your
can
fetch lands will go get this card. And then the last would be Slippery Boggle, which isn't necessarily a commander card, but it has some cool art.
Yeah, the art. It's like a big frog.
Yeah, it has like a fish in its
But
mouth.
it's a boggle.
But yeah, this is more of a modern card. Yeah. So
literally, the deck is called Boggles.
yeah. So
1/1 hexproof.
And then we get into a couple commons, and that'll be it for this.
Dawn Charm is getting a reprint, which is solid. We can just move on.
Okay, and then we got Hyena Umbra. Those Umbras are pretty sweet. If you haven't dealt with Umbras before, it has totem armor, which means if that creature dies, gets destroyed, everything but exiled, right? Mm-hmm. You destroy or sacrificed.
It just destroyed.
It destroys or gets killed by damage. You sacrifice the aura first, and the creature stays in play. So it gets 1/1 in first strike. It's a 1-drop to give your creature totem armor, pretty much. So they have to double kill it to kill it.
Yeah, you want to double check your Umbras because they are pretty cool. Like Bear Umbra is a sweet card.
Mm-hmm. By untapping your lands and
Martyr of Sands is seeing a reprint here. It's a 1/1 for 1 white, and you can tap 1, sacrifice it, reveal X white cards, and you get X amount of life times 3 that you show.
So that's pretty bonkers.
Frantic Search is getting a reprint, which is really cool.
That's the draw 2 cards. It's an instant. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, untap 3 lands. So it sticks to the name. If you're really looking for that card to win the game, or not win the game, to save the game or win the game, you play this and get 2 cards, get rid of the 2 cards that are crap, and
helps with storm counts really nice. I'm not even sure if I have it in the Niv Mizzet Perun deck, but I should.
Yeah, because it
allows me to
keep going. Yeah, I think that was it for this. Oh no, you wanted
there's Treasure Cruise right
down there. That's what I was looking for.
Again, it's a dredge card. Draws you 3 cards. This is banned and everything, restricted in Vintage. Can play it in Commander. Good to go.
The Grumage Angler.
It's a 5/5.
Same thing.
Has Delve, no other abilities, but if you're delving...
The other one you said Dredge, it's Delve.
Delve,
so same thing here, yep. But you can delve this out, get it out with 1-drop if you get enough crap. Yeah,
this is more
5/5.
like the wanted modern Delver, but it's pretty good.
And I think that's... Oh, no. We got Faithless Looting, which is an awesome card. 1-drop. It is red. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Flashback 2 and a red. And this guy?
Ingot Chewer. It has Convoke for 1 red, and then when it comes into play, you can destroy an artifact. And I have that one in Animar.
Oh, yeah. Devoted Druid got a reprint and new art with that. Devoted Druid. I got the reprint stuff just stuck in my head. Well, I guess that kind of
again,
fit
you're
there.
right.
It has some combo stuff in Modern, which it's pretty sweet, but tapping it gives you 1 green. You can put a 1/1 -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. So you can potentially get you a couple lands, but if you have other things to make it so you take counters off, whatever, it can go crazy. And
Kodama's Reach is a core card for green. It has new art. It's definitely really cool. But it's a great card.
I think that's pretty much it. I keep saying that.
Yeah,
and then
just keep on going.
Pretty much. Oh, there's another. Oh, there's another.
No, you're doing...
Yeah, I think that was it. Okay.
That looks good.
So that's pretty much it for the Ultimate Master stuff. This, like we said before at the beginning of the segment, that this has a crap ton of value to it. If you don't have these cards or even looking to possibly sell these cards, if there's a eBay sale, if you can get these, I'd say under, $260 I would definitely definitely pick them up. So look for those deals and be ready, because it's going to be in the morning when that comes in. I think they normally start at like 8-9 a.m. Central Time, and then it goes until the evening. But then what typically happens is those cheaper first like 10 get sold out, and it immediately
super
jumps
fast,
up. Yeah. So let's move into what's our next segment. I've already forgot.
Random magical shit.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So what are we gonna start with?
So essentially, like last week we noticed that there were a bunch of cards from Guilds of Ravnica that did not get pre-release foils, and it's actually pretty limited that got pre-release foils. You had your legends that did get the pre-release foils, and then it seems like it's just kind of a random. Like we had somebody on Twitter,
Tony on Tilt, Tony _ Tilt.
I'm sure he got it the first time.
Well, I'm just saying, if anybody else wants to be like, hey Tony, you're cool, this is awesome.
Hey Tony on Tilt, boom. Appreciate you chiming in there. And he was saying that it was associated with the guilds, which makes a bunch of sense, but it almost was like not all of them got pre-release foils that were associated with guilds.
Right.
And then I sat down and I found like
rares that were
so
originally we thought
didn't get it either.
We thought it was
all
we thought it was just mythics, but all the freaking Shocklands did not get
a pre-release
foil. And then what'd you find out?
Runaway Steamkin has a pre-release foil. It doesn't have a watermark. Again, it's a rare, but so it seems a little random and scattered. So I think there's just kind of a select few. But the general thing is, if you're interested in this kind of thing, it's because there are less foil printings of the cards that did not get pre-release foils. And that's the general thing that we're trying to get out to you.
And it's kind of crazy, because we talked about on the cast being like, we should have researched this. Well, this week we started.
It just isn't that much.
Yeah, we started looking into it, and nobody's talking about that. Like the certain cards that didn't get the foil, the pre-release foils. So yes, we're reiterating it again, but seriously, the cards that don't have that are used, especially for Commander, really think about picking those up. Like I said, with Doom Whisperer,
especially if you're interested in it, and you go, hey, this doesn't have a pre-release foil, go get the foil, because there's just that many less copies out there.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for that. We don't want to
general knowledge, because we don't
want to repeat from last week's episode, but we were kind of in a discussion with Tony on Tilt. Or you were more discussing with him on Twitter.
That was me. That was me talking
to
him on Twitter.
Lowry, look at you.
I've responded at least 3 times now.
You get a gold star this week.
Gold's my favorite color.
The next
Not true.
topic it's blue. Hey guys, it's blue. Just in case.
Just in case you wanted to get me like a birthday cake.
The next topic we want to talk about was what we've been playing. Of course, we've been talking about Arena a lot lately, because we're able to, with the kids, play it every night. Play standard. Well, pretty much
every other night at least. But
I try to get every night, because I want to get those gold coins, your dailies and all that. But anyways, we've been playing it a lot, and Larry kind of brought up in texting a couple weeks ago, is like, we're talking about cards that in standard on Arena, because you don't have you can spend the money to open packs and get lucky and find the deck and build the deck that way.
But you can't go out and spend $80 and get 4 Lyras or get your Tefiris. You just gotta get lucky, and so it's a lot less. Like,
you got to use the shit you got to be able to build.
Unless you're super grinding it out and being able to get whatever you want and been at it at the beginning, or you're trying to show content off like goldfish and stuff like that,
so they got a lot of money put into that.
But like, if you're a casual scrub like we are on there, it's
free to play people here, because we pay too much goddamn money for fucking cards. I'm not gonna pay money again for digital cards, because I like having the copies. I'm already spending money on Magic.
But as we're kind of playing, I think we understand that it is casual, but I think a lot of people are going to be in that realm of pretty casual with Arena. And so the idea here is a couple of cards like that stand out, and then there are cards where you're just like, I wonder if this is being propped up because of Arena, because it's so powerful on Arena. So like
one of the biggest cards is Niv Mizzet.
Niv Mizzet the Perun started off at
freaking awesome.
In between a buck or two, but it is really good. When it lands, you're almost losing the game in Arena. And
not you. You're not losing the game. The person casting
against you. As in, it's happened a lot to me. And it's just like, shit.
Yeah, because it's if you're playing like in the deck that I built, a pretty sweet Izzet deck that's spell slinging with only, I'm going to play counter spells, but only 2 in the entire deck. Everything else is drawing, burn.
My voice just cracked.
But once I get
Trust
that
me,
out,
I'm hairy enough. I'm not going through puberty.
Your balls just dropped, Lowry. Congratulations, you're in manhood. How does it feel?
I've been here longer than you have. And you're at least a year older than me.
Right.
I was shaving before you were born, which was before I was conceived.
That's weird.
It's all right.
Oh, that might be our sounder right there. Now I'm lost again. What the fuck was I talking about? But anyway, so the only times that it doesn't get its full effect is actually against white when it plays the one that removes any of the removal. It comes into play, the enchantments.
Oh, the 4-mana enchantments, which again aren't very good in standard.
But anyways, if you're able to play it, get to your turn, and you're a spell slinger deck, it's just game over, because I was just drawing, casting, and it's pretty ridiculous. But like Lowry said, it was $150, and now it just keeps creeping up.
At 5, and maybe I feel like Arena's like, you sit down and you're playing against it, you're like, man, that's really good. I want to go and get that, like either on Arena or in real life. And so the thought is, are people playing and going, I like playing with these cards, I want to go get them and play with them more.
Well,
and if this idea is way out there, you can let us know. But if you're like, oh, that makes sense, then that might be another angle to kind of speculate with.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, like, it almost, like you're saying there, makes me want to build a commander with him. But you already made the fucker, so I can't. But yours is completely different. Like this, I'd probably build mine as more of Spellslinger drawing.
More like your deck that you have on Arena.
Right.
So, and so that's kind of my point is like, in some other cards that are like, one card that I wouldn't speculate on, but you're like, Sleep.
Oh, it's such a good card in this.
It's so good in Arena. It makes me want to try it in Commander, or like if I'm going to build a standard deck, like am I going to play with Sleep because it feels so good? Which it taps all of your opponent's creatures, and then they stay tapped for one turn.
And we can just use that as an example. We played last night, and I have a pretty strong life gaining Boros deck that is supposed to overwhelm and kill somebody, but Lowry freaking goes, I mean, I was at 36 life, and Lowry starts dropping his stuff down, and I'm like getting ready to kill Lowry, and he goes, Sleep, everything taps. And he runs through for like 15, and I'm like, okay, I'll get some creatures out, and I'll be fine. And then Lowry plays Sleep again. I was like, fuck you. I was like, concede, you bastard. I was like, I'm going back to my Izzet deck, because I can't handle your damn merfolk. And you had Sleep every single time, and I could not handle it.
Like, that is, I don't use many wild cards, but I actually went and made one more for Sleep because I was like, this card's ridiculous. Yeah, it's been reprinted a ton in core sets.
Yeah, so it's not.
I'm not
anything.
saying it's not. It's not going to be worth anything, but you're just like, man, this card is pretty good. And so like I'm looking at, I play with Timely Reinforcements, which is a core.
That's an awesome card for the Boros stuff. Well,
and that's put 2 soldiers into play. All your creatures get haste. All your creatures get +1/+1. And every time I play that card, it's like.
That's what I was going to play,
like
Lowry.
Damage.
That's what I was going to play, and then you fucking made me go to sleep.
Go sleep. So, but like, if you are into Arena, are there cards out there where you're like, man, this card is way better than I
like
thought
to
or anticipated?
Hear from you guys on that. Yeah,
exactly.
Those are the ones that we've come across. Those 3 are pretty bonkers there. Well, that and the Ajani Pride Mage, is that the Pride Mate? Yeah. That one's pretty sweet with the life gain.
And that has been like, it was semi-modern playable for a while as well in a Soul Sisters deck, and that's
I know it's in my Aloro deck. So I mean, any life gain deck that if it's with white, you should have that in there.
But it's been reprinted a ton, so that's not something that you want to spec on or anything. But and so I don't know, it's just more of like a flowing discussion at this point. Like, is this going to have any effect on paper Magic? Because it is completely different metagame from paper standard and on a Magic Online standard, like, and those are semi-different as well. But like, and the reason why it triggered was there was the Standard Pro Tour a week or two ago at this point,
last week,
and Boros, red white little weenie creatures, kind of came out of nowhere, and it's a much better version in paper standard, but in my mind, it kind of came from Arena, where they give you that deck, and you're like, "Oh, this is really powerful."
Yeah.
And then people go from there, and so I'm wondering if that's actually influencing, because that whirling goblin chain whirler, is not nearly as prevalent in Arena. And so in my mind, like, people are like, "Oh, these cards are good," and then you get Boros Weenie, where Chain Whirler would have just
killed it.
Up.
Yeah, that would have been done right there.
But people weren't playing it, and so it's just kind of like, how much influence does Arena actually have out there right now?
Well, and that's kind of the main point of Niv Mizzet. What else is Niv Mizzet being used in? Like, is it being? I don't think it's in any of the Pro Tour stuff.
No, I don't think so. Right now,
too big of a casting cost to get in there.
As far as I know, right now it's red white Weenie and green black Explorer deck.
Why is Niv Mizzet going up? Well, it might be because of what we're talking about. The
more
Arena
people want to play with it
because it's sneaky good, because we've talked about this before. When you built it and when you've played it, I forget. Until now that I've been playing with it. When you were the sole owner of it. Well, actually, I own 5 copies, but then I couldn't play it. But you forget that it's any time any player casts an instant, you draw. So it's not just you. You get to draw a card, and that does 1 damage. And then it also can't be countered. The fucking counterspell decks.
So that's just a general idea. I don't know if people want to chime in on that, if people don't give a rat's ass about it, but... that's just
it'll be interesting to hear other people's cards, what they think from that. If people are playing Arena, Arena's fun, but like I said, we're Commander players, but to buy the time and be able to play a little more often, Arena has been pretty nice.
Yeah, and I know we've said this before, like, Adam lives an hour away from me,
right?
And so it is along, like, with doing the podcast, it's hard to justify always coming up here and playing and stuff like that. So.
We'd have to set aside like 5 hours every time. Yeah. That's a little much with the little ones. When the little ones get older, maybe we could start doing that kind of stuff, but for the time being right now, we're just... But anyways, do we move on?
Yep.
Okay, so the last topic we wanted to kind of talk about is actually an idea we kind of started last week when we were talking about how we were going to do things when we open to our battle boxes here.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we kind of mentioned it last week, and we kind of need you got your help with this.
Okay, so basically, Adam wants to torture me when it comes to opening boxes.
I want you to suffer more.
And so, like, as we explained, we're going to change it up. Instead of just adding up the value, we're going to kind of like flip over just the rare, and whoever has the better rare, they win that battle of war. And so we want consequences for losing.
But what our soon-to-be cousin-in-law, Mark...
He mentioned... have a wheel of misfortune, essentially. If we're stealing, I'm pretty sure I stole that idea from somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
I was impressed that you came up with it right there. I was like, whoa, Lowry.
Yeah.
Step back.
I feel like that's like Good Mythical Morning.
But yeah, so it's not like predetermined to like, okay, this episode or this week we're going to be eating hot peppers or whatever.
Yeah,
we're going to have a wheel with every number on there has a certain thing. And so you spin it, and then we figure out, the loser spins it, and they figure out what they're...
Yeah, and so we are looking for help from you guys or gals.
So you can either email, tweet us, whatever. You can leave a comment on this episode. We see that all, so it gives us notification.
I mean, we're not get buried. It could get buried. There's so much that we go through that we might miss it. So apologies, but
I'm digging through 600 comments just to find somebody mentioning
one person.
Yes, we made it, Lowry. No, I'm just kidding.
That's how you get recognized. Good.
But yeah, so we're not necessarily going to say don't feel butthurt if we go we're not using your like if it's like just completely off the wall, like we're going to get hurt or sick or whatever.
So right now we're
going to try to if they're good
from
ones.
Last week it was like hot sauce / Tabasco sauce and oysters. No, not oysters.
It was
something gross.
Anchovies.
Which
I
is
don't
also
even
bad.
want that on the list.
It's on the list. That's appropriately on the list.
Because the thing is like
it's
you said,
at your house, so it's going to make your house smell.
Because it's a wheel of fate or whatever.
It's just
misfortunes. We have to have that in hand, so it's always got to be on hand.
Well, it doesn't go bad. It's in like a can that will last forever.
I don't want that in my fridge.
That stuff will last longer than Twinkies.
Oh, you know what, Lowry? I think from now on we're gonna have to do our video shoots at your house.
Oh,
shoot,
yeah. I'm okay with that. And then come up here for the podcast.
Right.
That makes total sense.
Right.
That makes total sense.
So right after we get done shooting the video, we got to do the podcast ever. So we're driving up here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So
logistically, that makes sense.
Anyways, so we want your guys' suggestions to that. So if you have any good ideas,
we're doing really good at possibly interacting with you guys. Now, if you don't interact with us, that's not our fault, but it's a very strong probability.
All right, let's move into our last segment.
No, it's not our last segment.
Or third segment.
We were wrong. And somebody on YouTube pointed it out. Do we have that?
It is Sheldon Adams actually brought it up on YouTube.
Thank you for being right.
So the correction on our Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, what we talked about last week, when it is in play, and we've been playing this for years.
Yeah, we were thinking that it turns all lands into swamps. Your opponents and your lands, and so what we had said a couple times here is that the swamps in your library, or lands
everything
in your library
is
swamps.
So when you use a fetch land to go search for a swamp, you could go search for any land card, but it technically does not work
if
that way.
That sounded awesome, it was awesomely wrong.
We were wrong. But yeah, we've been playing this wrong for years because it is just a general whatever. But if you kind of take a card like the card conspiracy, not the set conspiracy, what conspiracy does, and that was actually one of the cards that has spiked recently, but all your creatures are of a chosen type. All your creatures in play, all your creatures out of play are that chosen type. So you're able to, if you're at, like, say, Merfolk, and you play a Merfolk card that makes you go search for a Merfolk, you can go search for any card, essentially, that is in your deck. This does not say that on the card. It just says all lands are swamps, including their other types. So it's talking about all lands that are in play. So it does affect your opponents and everything. But on
that aspect of being in different zones, that is not accurate.
Right. So it'd have to say including lands that are not in play and whatever. So, sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah.
But thank you for pointing that out, because that does help. We do like to hear that if there's something.
Yeah, we're not judges, so we can easily be wrong, and that might, we don't want to spread false information all the time, and so
we're starting this segment, so hopefully we don't do this very often. But anytime that we were wrong, we will do this towards the end of our episode, right before our Smith specs. So if you enjoy hearing us being wrong, you can skip to this part
through and show us
like
rulings.
I just want to hear when they're wrong.
I want to hear we were wrong. I think a friend told us that somebody does this at the end of their podcast.
Oh yeah, it was Trombley.
But I was thinking there was Conan O'Brien also does this on it's like prove me wrong, and then people go back like, in 1992 you said this on air and it's totally wrong, and then he just makes up a BS answer for why it's right and he still isn't wrong. It's a good bit.
Well, I told you before the podcast, there's an SNL skit where it's them doing their Fox News, like they're pretending to be Fox News, and then they get done with their little segment and they're like, oh, and here's all the corrections that we have to do from everything we just said, and then it's just long list just goes up for like 30 seconds, and they just sit there and sip their coffee, and I was like, that's how we should do it. But yeah,
I'm glad we're not that wrong. That's pretty inaccurate.
They're only talking for 2 minutes, and then this thing's flowing for 30 seconds. All right, so we're gonna move into our Smith specs of the week, guys. All right, so I will start off this week. I had mentioned this card back a couple weeks ago as an insta spec. It did jump a little bit, didn't go as much as I thought, because the regulars of Legion's Landing, actually no, I guess it was last week,
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
it was
yeah.
The Pro Tour.
It was the first, the Pro Tour. Yep, that's right. So this started getting used in there, and the regulars were jumping up. They jumped up to like $8, and so I was like, hey, the foils are right around that price range. So the regular foils, or not regular, the pre-release foils did jump up a couple bucks. I'm more focused on the buy-a-box, and I've kind of mentioned this before. The buy-a-box ones are kind of special because they have different art, and we said it recently when we did Growing Rights of Itlamok. All the art kind of, when you put them all together, it makes a map. And these you can get currently on TCG. I believe I was seeing them at $13-14. Okay. One of the other things is there wasn't a lot of inventory on these, and it has a very high curve, so it goes from the $13-14, and it really quickly jumps up to $20, $25, $30. So as soon as those are all sold out, and actually you have to go through eBay is where they have it the cheapest. eBay, you can find them cheaper than TCG right now. Okay. And I kind of also compare this now. What is it? Keldorian Outpost. It's similar to that card, but that card's a reserve list, so that's why that one's $10 already. Yeah. But when this flips over, it gives you a 1/1 life linker when you tap one extra.
Which is also a vampire, which is relevant for Commander with Edgar Markov and any vampire tribal deck you got going on.
And it's a 1-drop getting a 1/1 vampire lifelink to start off, and all you need to do is attack with 3 creatures and it flips over.
And so it's 2 other creatures.
Right.
And once you flip it, you have a land, which is kind of ramp in itself. So and then just creatures whenever you want. So.
And then the interesting thing, and this is going to be similar to my last pick too, is it is in standard and there isn't a lot of inventory, even when you get into the other printings of this. So I'm saying go for the buy box, but even if you go for the pre-release ones or the regular foils, those have a very low inventory as well. So for it to be in standard and have such a low inventory, I think a lot of standard had something. The Pro Tour had a lot to do with that. But I think it's an actual really good card. But for Commander purposes is why I'm saying focus on the buy-a-box, because I think that these could easily jump over $20, $25 in the next year or two. Yeah. So it's a hold for a longer, unless it keeps doing well on the Pro Tour, then this could jump up sooner than that. So, Lowry, you want to go to your first?
I don't want to talk about that.
You're now. We discussed this beforehand, Lowry. No. What the hell?
Sorry. Okay. So I'm going with Rest in Peace. You can go Masters 25 or Return to Ravnica. They're both sitting around $7 currently. Non-foil. The foils are 15 and 23. So beware at your own risk type thing. But the reason why I'm thinking this is because with Ultimate Masters, they reprinted a ton of graveyard cards for Modern, and there was no new hate. Or not even new hate, but just reprinting on the hate. So like I talked about Leyline of the Void or Surgical Extraction, they've both started going up already.
Yeah.
And so kind of looking at Rest in Peace, because that also goes really well with Commander, removes all cards in all graveyards, and then any card that goes into a graveyard is removed from the game as well.
It won't go in a Lowry deck because he likes recursion so much.
I like my graveyards, but yeah,
it'll go in an Adam deck because I like fucking him over.
If you're looking to just really kind of hate on graveyards, this is a perfect card for Commander. And again, this works in Modern,
right? And that's what I was about to say is when you have a 2-format like staple for a card that's really good, or you're buying it for Commander, but it also can go up because of Modern.
And so your height, which for the Return to Ravnica version was like $10-11, but that was before like graveyard cards in Modern were really that big. They kind of like flourished and then they'd get banned. And right now you have 2-3 pretty good graveyard decks. And so I think you have a lot more potential at this point, even though you have a Masters 25 reprint on it. So that and it has been slowly going up since Masters 25.
Yeah, I like that card. I do own that. I did make sure that I wanted to have that because I don't care about graveyards. And I'm just kidding. Don't care about your graveyard, Lowry. I'm just checking out the foil ones too because, yeah, I guess at one point they were 25 or so. So you could go for the Masters if you wanted, but that's not a very big increase. I agree. Yeah, go for the regulars on that. Non-foil. All right, my next one, all 3 of mine are freaking standard cards. But Underrealm Lich, I think, is a freaking awesome card. This is just from Guilds of Ravnica. I was thinking you could go for the non-foil or foil, but this card, it's an awesome card for your manipulating your top pretty much. Not top, but you get to draw 4 cards, take one of those,
selection.
or take top 3 cards, sorry. Take one of those and put one into your hand and then the others into your graveyard. So if you are playing like Lowry likes to play, graveyard, then you're putting stuff in there, but you're actually going to be getting those back by, manipulating your graveyard. Mm-hmm. But the nice thing too is you pay 4 life and it's indestructible. So it's
hard to get rid of.
Right. So, your enchantments you can get rid of easily. Creatures are easy to get rid of, but when you make it indestructible and 4 life for commander, that's not that big of a deal to keep this, keep drawing. And we always talk about that with our Miri's Guile or your Sensei's Divining Top or your Sylvan Libraries. Anytime that you're able to draw more than one card at your draw step, and actually it says if you would draw a card. So this isn't even your draw step. Anytime that you're drawing a card, you're drawing 3 instead.
And I think we've talked about this. It gets really ridiculous with like Sylvan Library because you draw 3 cards and then you're putting 2 backs. But this way, is it a replacement on the draw?
If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that ruling would go, but I think it might be crazy.
Yeah. But
real crazy.
So the non-foils I think you can get for under $3, or you can get the foils sitting around $10 right now. Mm-hmm. So either one I think is a good buy. I think
now this one did get a pre-release foil.
Right. So the opposite of what we were talking about with the other stuff. Yeah. So
you still want to get good cards.
Yeah. But see, this would be an example of like if I had this as a pick, like I said for Doom Whisperer, if you only had the one foil, I mean, there's that much less inventory of that card. But this has a little bit more because it has 2 printings of the foil. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, your next card, Lowry.
Next one that I want to talk about is Selfless Spirit. This is from Eldritch Moon, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a 2/1 flyer for a white and a colorless, and you can sacrifice it to give all of your creatures indestructible. Now, it's super cheap. This is really good to protect yourself from board wipes. Mm-hmm. It has evasion, so it can kind of get in there every once in a while. You can do it at any time. And I started kind of looking around, and people are actually starting to consider this, even though it's not a human, for modern humans.
Because that gives all indestructible.
Because people are kind of like, well, how do we fight, burn and mass removal and stuff like that? And they were starting to talk about this on some of the Hivemind sites. And so, and again, this is a great commander card because it really protects what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Like Dauntless Escort is one more. It's a green mana for a 3/3 where you can sacrifice. And so right now, I think you can get the pre-release foil is sitting around $11, $12.
It was up at one point over 20. So
yeah, and that was probably when the Bant Spirits and Modern was really big. But again, this is something that can go in a lot of different formats.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that card. All right. My next one is Wayward Swordtooth, and this is from Rivals of Ixalan. This is 2, a green, has Ascend. You may play an additional land on each of your turns if it can't attack or block unless you have the City's Blessing. So any of the cards that allow you to play more than one land for your turns, like Exploration, but that's a 1-drop enchantment, which is really good. Then you have Azusa's Lost but Secret. That's 2 extra lands, so that's really good. That's why it's a $20 card.
Oracle of Moldiah lets you drop 2 lands, and that's a $30+ card.
So this one, I'm saying go for the foils on these because I think you can get them around $9. How this feels for me is like how I've said Mirage Mirror is, or how Ramanap Excavator is, kind of similar. That's my feeling on this. Is I feel like in time for Commander, and I'm talking after it gets it cycles out. What am I trying to say? Rotates out. I think that's when we're kind of looking. So I think you have a little bit of time on this one, but I think it's a very good card. I don't think it's going to get, the foils are going to get much lower.
Yeah, like City's Blessing is basically nothing in Commander.
You have
if you don't have City's Blessing, you're
doing
screwed.
something wrong.
Yeah. You're not going to win if you play this card or not. But and again, it helps you get to that by playing more land. Yeah. So it is a really good card.
And for a 3-drop, and if you have the City's Blessing, like he's saying, you have a 5/5 for a 3-drop that allows you to play more land that turn. So Yeah, and I also had in my notes with it that this also does not have a lot, like less inventory than I was saying with Legion Landing. And one card, I already said that, Exploration.
Yeah, Burgeoning is another one that recovered really nicely after a Conspiracy reprint too. So essentially, it like the only card I can think of that allows you to put another land into play that isn't worth anything is Explore.
Yeah, but that's an instant, so it happens, or sorcery, so it happens once and then you're done, you know?
Yeah,
and even Explore, before they reprinted it a couple times.
It was like 75 cents to $1
for a common card, which isn't that bad. This is a rare spot, you know? But yeah, sure, I was going through to see which ones, but every other one, like that's a permanent, they are all expensive cards. The regulars of typical ones are like $10 pretty much.
Rites of Flourishing, but that allows your opponents to put also another one into play, so that makes it pretty rough.
Yeah. And isn't that the drawing the card?
Yeah.
So everybody draws an extra card, everybody gets to play another land. So this is like the next level.
At being at 3 mana, that can be a 5/5 threat as well.
It's pretty crazy. So, all right, Larry, your last one. I like this card a lot.
Good old Borborygmos Enraged from Gatecrash. So this is a 7/6 trample for 8 mana, but when it deals damage to a player, you get to look at the top 3 cards and put all lands into your hand that way, and then you can discard lands to deal 3 damage to any target. Now, the reason why I'm going with this, it's a legendary creature, so it's definitely viable as your commander. It kind of is awesome for potentially a Reanimator deck or a bunch of different styles. But this also goes, a lot of cards were printed for this for Modern in the Ultimate Masters. You had, it goes in the Goryo's Vengeance deck, where it's Grizz Shoalbrand. Haha. I see what they did there. So Nurturing Shoal and Goryo's Vengeance. And so what you do is you Goryo's Vengeance, Grizzlebrand, draw a ton of cards, get Borborygmos Enraged into your graveyard, then you Vengeance that card back, and then you're discarding all over the lands and you win. That's essentially how that little combo goes. And it's just a really crazy good card when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's pretty sick with that. The other thing,
and that was not reprinted in Ultimate Masters, so you could see a potential. Like the difference, I don't know which way to go here. The regulars are plain old $1.
That's what I was about to talk
about.
But
the foil is sitting around $10-11. So it kind of tells you like there is some demand for those foils.
Right. So that's what I was gonna. Well, that's one thing I was gonna say is. These are almost more of I would go for the non-foils because there's such a discrepancy between the non-foils and foils. A 10 times multiplier to go up to
for
that.
For $1 could easily be. It's a mythic,
and that's the other thing. It's a mythic too.
I can easily see this going to $5, and you're technically making money there.
Right. So I mean, you don't go balls to the walls with this and buy like 100 of them, but I mean, I see buying like 2-3 play sets of these and then spending I don't know freaking $10-$20 on this and
$10-$20 and you
each
can turn
goes
that
up to 5. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And like I said, these are things you kind of look for too for some specs and everything. If it's a good card that could be used in Commander, but then your foil multiplier is so huge, it just means, or vice versa, if your non-foil is really high up there and the foils haven't really caught up to it, then you're kind of looking at, got to go for the foils. But this is the opposite. This is a time when I'm like, go for the freaking non-foils because the foil, and let's see, when's the last, did it have a spike recently? Like, why is it so expensive? It did have a recent spike. When
but
Guilds,
I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah, like right before Guilds of Ravnica came out. It went from a $8 card. Well, I guess not that. Well, it went up to 18.
It was 6 up to 18.
And then it dropped way down. So at one
you
point,
already had, like, there was enough speculation in it or enough thought that it almost got up to $20. Now it's sitting down around 10. There's semi-price memory there where people were paying 20.
Yeah.
People might be more willing to pay for 20 if things get more rare for it.
I'm just trying to see too if there was no spike at all with the non-foils. So there's two things. You could go for the non-foils, I would say there, or even take your time and wait for it to drop if it drops back down. I mean, it's dropped quite a bit since, what was that?
It's almost cut in half.
Since August? Yeah, and it's dropped down. So it was 5 before that. But I think it's
it's not going to go below 5.
right.
So, and you're at 10. So if you
I'd
can
wait
get
on the
something in
foils,
between
but
there
I'd maybe
foils,
go for those non-foils, and this card could go up again. I mean, yeah. What's the curious thing is what's the reason for the spike right there?
Yeah, and that part I do not know, because it's kind of like in between two sets. So maybe there was a spike in popularity in that Grishold brand, but at the same time, I think Goryo's Vengeance spiked a long time ago. So
sweet. I really like this card a lot, especially with the combo that you were talking about. I was like, that is pretty damn sick.
Yeah, so if you can draw a ton of cards and discard a bunch of lands, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, so I think that does it for our spoilers this week, right? We're all done there. Yeah,
I think we got everything in.
Our specs.
Yeah,
our spoilers for this week.
We got the spoilers. We got the specs.
We didn't even. You guys didn't even know we spoiled cards. We just kind of.
Yeah, well, that would be cool.
Ninjutsu'd that
if we could spoil a card one day. That's
that's what you said. You said my goal is to be able to. Get a card to spoil.
I know that's
even if
never
it's like a
happen.
Common.
Like, never. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be.
Here's
sweet.
the new art for a forest.
That'd be a little disappointing. You didn't even give us island.
Yeah, right.
Well, you get forest. Well, at least it's not
like forest.
At least it's not mountain.
Yeah, exactly. At least it's not a plains. Yeah. Like that's just plain. Oh, see what I did there?
Yeah, I did. Congrats.
All right, you guys can follow us on Twitter at CommanderSmiths.
You can email us at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com.
And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and see our sweet videos. Especially in a couple weeks, we will have some awesome videos up there at CommanderSmiths.
I hope you're not promising more stuff again.
No, it's what we're doing. Battle boxes.
I know.
Ultimate battle boxes. Oh, man.
Ultimate battle boxes?
That's awesome. I just came up with that. I am sweet. Way to talk yourself up.
Good job. Yeah.
Way to go, me.
I am a genius.
All right, so that should do it for this week. We will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.